So today we are going to look at some of the properties of random networks. So again we are going back to the random networks, and the reason is so random networks have certain probabilistic and statistical characteristics which are easy to understand. So doing the same things with scale-free networks or small world models makes it difficult. So although random networks, they are not a correct, what I would say, not an accurate representation of your real world networks, but they come in handy when you have to derive certain theorems and lemmas. Although they are not exactly like real world networks, but if you do some mathematical stuff on these and come up with certain observations, so many of them actually gives us an idea of what is happening in the real world networks. So we are going to look at certain properties today. Most of the today's lecture is going to be mathematical. We are going to talk about probability and certain distributions. So from a broad perspective, it will also help you in certain other courses, especially if you look at certain probabilistic models or Markov models and stuff like that. So I have a few questions. So together we all will try to answer them. So you try to answer these questions or just give me a hint about how can we start solving them, and then I'll take it from there. So we are going to talk about GNP networks today. A GNP network represents a random network which has n nodes, and every edge in this network exists with a probability p. So this we have discussed earlier. But what you should again realize is, so GNP does not represent a single network. It's a family of networks. So when you, so let's say G of 100, 0.1. Right. So the first time you will run it, let's say you code it and you run it, it will give you one network. The next time it will give you another network. The next time it will give you yet another network. So can you tell me how many networks can this generate? So we said that GNP is a family of networks, right? So when I run this code GNP, I'll get one out of these networks. So it can be G1, G2, G3, G4. These are all the possible graphs which can be a result of looking at GNP. Can you tell me how many graphs will be in this basket? How many possible graphs can GNP generate? You can assume your vertices to be labeled or unlabeled, and accordingly you can give your answer. It's again a graph theory based question. Oh, so consider your nodes to be unlabeled. Can you tell me how many networks can be created here? So I can assume isomorphic graphs to be the same. Or let's say for a moment to make it easier, let's say every vertex is labeled. So I have G and P. So I have some n vertices, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth up to n, right? And now every edge exists with a probability P, right? So an edge can be there or it cannot be there. So can you tell me how many networks we can generate on this graph?
Ma'am, 2 times 100 C2.
Right? So 2 times 100 choose 2. Right? So do everyone understand from where do we get that answer? Why it's 2 times 100 choose 2? So 100 choose 2 is the number of edges, the number of possible edges in this graph. And when we are looking at this complete, what I'd say, all possible graphs, an edge can be there or cannot be there, right? So there are two possibilities for every edge, to be present in the network or not to be present in the network. So if I'm talking about a labeled graph, it's going to be 2 into 2 into 2 into, and there are possible 100 choose 2 edges. So it converges to this number, right? And now figuring it out for unlabeled graphs might be a bit tricky, so I leave it to you, think about it, right? So isomorphic graphs are the same, so the number will reduce slightly. Okay, uh, let's look at few more questions. So again, talking about a GNP graph, right? Can you comment on what will be the average degree of a node in this graph? So we have been talking all this while that degree distribution is quite important. So I'm going to look at all the degrees in this graph. So D1, D2, D3 up to Dn. Can you comment on what will be the average degree? Can you quickly compute it in your notebooks and tell me? Or any idea about how to proceed further? So you can even apply the formula for average degree directly here, right? I want average degree. So what is average degree going to be? It's going to be D1 plus D2 plus D3, so on and so forth, up to Dn divided by n. And again, what is this number, right? We discussed this is nothing but your handshaking lemma, right? So sum of degrees is 2 times the number of edges. So 2 times the number of edges divided by n. And we have already seen an expression for the expected number of edges, right? So total possible edges are n choose 2. You multiply that with p, which is the probability of existence of individual edge. So this becomes your expected number of edges, p into n choose 2 divided by n, right? And when you solve it further, you will get p into n minus 1. So this is the average degree of a node in a random network. Okay, next question. How do I figure out the probability? So I've created a random network again using GNP model. I want to see what is the probability that the number of edges in this generated network is m. Right, so it's an interesting question. So when I do a GNP, what is the probability that I'll get an empty graph with no edges, right? And what is the probability that I'll get a complete graph, a click? We know that the probability is going to be very low, right? So it's like doing and choose to tosis and getting a head every time or getting a tail every time. So the probability is very low. So in general, how do I write this probability that the number of edges equals to m? So again, it's a binomial distribution question. So what I'm asking is, so when is my number of edges going to be m? I'm tossing a coin, a biased coin for each of my edges. I have n choose 2 edges. Right? Tossing a biased coin for each of these, what is the probability that I get m heads? That is what the question is. And we know that what is the formula. So if I do an experiment n times and the probability of success is p. So what is the probability that you get k success? So we know that the answer is n choose k, p raised to the power k and q raised to the power n minus k, where q is the probability of failure, which is 1 minus p. So we can apply the same thing here. So instead of n, we have n choose 2 now. So we are doing an experiment n choose 2 number of times and we want to figure out the probability that you get m heads. What is it going to be? It's going to be n choose 2 choose m p to the power m 1 minus p to the power n choose 2 minus m. Now you might be seeing similar kind of questions in your exam, so related to random network. So you should be able to think about what is happening here. Okay, let's now move to the degree distribution of random networks. So although we have discussed about the degree distribution empirically, that is we have plotted it on a paper, we have plotted it on iGraph, and then we could see that we got a distribution something like this. But what is the mathematical foundation for such a distribution? So if you look at what is degree distribution, so in a real world network, what I was plotting was the possible degrees here on the x-axis, and on the y-axis I was having number of nodes having degree 1, number of nodes having degree 2, so on and so forth. So instead of that number, I can also write it as fraction and the curve will remain same, because when I'm looking at fraction, I just divide every number by n. So I'm saying, what I'm saying it is the fraction of nodes. So if the degree is k here, fraction of nodes having degree k. right? And what is this? Do you see it is nothing but what is the probability that a node is having degree k? Because how do you determine the probability that a node is having degree k in a network? So simply by looking at all the number of nodes having degree k, num nodes having degree k divided by total number of nodes, right? So what we are going to now do is to derive a theoretical formula for this, or this, which is the same thing. In a given random network G and P, again, what is the probability that a node is having degree k? So you are given a node, let's say U, what is the probability that U has degree k? And this I want you to figure out. By exactly the same method which we used above. How do you see this as a coin tossing experiment? I have a node U here, it can have any degree, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are n minus 1 nodes it can connect to. So what is the probability that it has connected to exactly k nodes? Anyone? Can you see it as a coin tossing experiment? So for this particular node, I want to figure out what is its degree, right? So what I have done is, so it can be connected to this node, this node, this node, this node. So for each of these, I'm tossing a coin and nothing else. So for this edge, I toss a coin. If it is head, it means it is connected to this node, otherwise not. Same here, same here, same here. So there are n minus 1 possibilities, or n minus 1 possible connections, or n minus 1 coin tosses. And what I want to see is it has degree k. It means how many times we got ahead? K times we got ahead. So it's again the same experiment. So I'm tossing a coin n minus 1 times. What is the probability that you end up having k heads? Right? And that is n minus 1 choose k, p raised to the power k, 1 minus p raised to the power n minus 1 minus k. Now what can you comment about this plot here? What do you think will happen as we change the value of p or change the value of n? Okay, just look at this equation for a minute. I'll just share the screen from my system and then show you something. So if you look at this formula here, it is telling you what is the probability that a particular node is having a degree k. So when you plot this curve, so how will you plot this curve? So for a given value of n and for a given value of p, what I'm going to plot? So this is nothing but, so if n and p are your constant, assume that n and p are constant here, because those two values are given when we create a random graph. So I write this entire thing as f of k. So this is nothing but f of k for a given n and p. So n and p are fixed, and what we are going to plot here is, let's have a k here and let's have a f of k here, right? So how will this plot look like? So we have empirically looked at this plot that it was a bell-shaped curve, right? Now let's look at it theoretically. So instead of actually creating a graph and doing that, let's plot this equation and see what happens to this curve. Just a moment, I'll share my screen. Okay. Can you see this screen here? Okay. Can you quickly look at this code, skim through it and tell me what this code is doing? So this part of this code is the equation which we just wrote.
Ma'am, instead of n minus 1, it has n. And why
Yeah,
not
instead
append?
of n minus 1, it has n. So we can do that. We can have a n minus 1 also here. Let's have a n minus 1. So for a very large value of n, it won't matter, but let's make it n minus 1, right? Okay. Made it n minus 1. Perfect. So now what is this code doing? So this is our equation, right? So for every given value of k, right? So k goes from 0 to n minus 1, and for every value of k, we are appending this. So essentially what this entire code is doing, it is plotting f of k as a function of k. So this thing over here is f of k, right? So we are seeing that as k varies from 0 to n minus 1, how does this function change? So here we are plotting the function, but again, we are plotting a number of plots. We are not just having one plot. So what we are doing here is the value of n is fixed here, right? Inside an iteration, the value of p is also fixed. But overall, what we are doing, so we have taken a network on a specified number of nodes. So I'm going to enter the number of nodes. So we have entered here 50 in this case, although I'll run it again. So for 50 nodes, we vary the probability. So we first keep the probability to be 0. It means that this is going to be an empty graph. So if probability is 0, right? But here is no notion of graph. We are just plotting the equation we just wrote. So for the value of p equals to 0, how will that plot look like? F of k. Similarly, for the value of p 0.1, how will that plot look like? For the value p equals to 0.2, how will that plot look like? So what it will show us is for different for a given number of nodes, for different values of probabilities, how will the degree distribution of the network look like theoretically? Let us say there are 50 nodes again in the network. And now look at this. So when the value of p is 0, you see a curve like this. On the x-axis, this is the value of k, which is your degree, which can go from 0 to 49. And on the y-axis, you have the fraction of nodes having that particular degree. So in this case, all the nodes have a degree of 0. Right? So all 100% nodes have degree of 0. And you see as we go down what is happening here. So when we increase the value of this probability slightly, the curve shifts slightly towards right. So again, it's a bell-shaped curve, but it's not peaking in the middle. right? So it peaks somewhere here, and then you increase the probability to 0.2, you have some more edges in the network, and now the curve becomes like this. So if you look at all these curves, so the curve looks like it remains the same, it's just shifting from left to right as we increase the value of probability. Right? And now here, so when the probability becomes 1, so all the nodes have a degree of 49 each, right? So this is the curve here. So we have seen that as we change the value of p, just the position of this peak of the curve changes. Now the question is, what determines how broad is this curve? So this curve here looks very slim, right? It can be fat also, it can be broad or it can be thin. So what decides the broadness or thinness of this curve? So let's have a look at that. So this was the equation which we were having. So we have seen that if we keep n fixed and change p, so what happens to this plot? How do you determine, so if I have a bell-shaped curve, right? So how do I even quantify this value? Look at these two curves, right? So how do I quantify this value here? What is this value? So this value is high for this curve and low for this curve. So this value actually relates to variance. So how you can look at this value? This is nothing but sigma by nu. So you know what is sigma, what is nu? So sigma is the standard deviation. The standard deviation tells me how dispersed are my values from the mean. So is there a great dispersion, or whether all of them are quite nearer to the mean, and nu is the mean here, right? So what is this going to be? Can you give me its value? So the standard deviation is nothing but under root of variance, and then you have mean. So what we had, what was this equation? This equation is nothing but a binomial distribution, and I write this binomial distribution as n minus 1 comma k. So what is the mean of a binomial distribution and what is its variance? So for a binomial distribution n comma, I'm sorry, I got p here, p. So if I had a binomial distribution n comma p, we know that the mean is n into p and the variance is n p cube, right? Well known formula. So let's substitute them here. So what's going to be the under root of variance here? Under root of np cube. N has now changed to n minus 1. P remains same, which is p, and q is 1 minus p. And what is the mean here? N minus 1 into p. Right? So when you solve it, it becomes under root of n minus 1. Does anything get cancelled? 1 minus p divided by p and minus 1. Right? It becomes something like this. Right? So now for a fixed value of p. So if you look at this, for a fixed value of p, this equation is close to 1 divided by n minus 1. So under root of 1 divided by n minus 1. So what does it imply? As you increase the number of nodes, this is going to decrease. Okay? So let's quickly do that and see. Okay, so now look at this alternate code here. So here we are doing the reverse thing. What we are doing here, the value of p we have fixed here. So probability is always going to be 0.5. What we are varying is n. So we are creating a random graph where every edge exists with probability 0.5 for different number of nodes. So the first network has 10 nodes, second has 20 nodes, third has 30 nodes, so on and so forth. and we go up to 100 nodes, and we again look at the plot here. So if you look at the plot here, so you see something like this. So this is a plot when you have how many nodes? 10 nodes, right? Now see, for 20 nodes, this becomes steep, and it becomes all the more steeper as you keep going on. Right? You can actually make it n-1 and run it again. The result will look similar. So it won't impact the results here. Okay, now let's talk of a few more things. So this was mostly about degree distribution. We looked at some more properties of the random networks. Let's talk about this quantity here. So again, we have looked at it empirically that the average local clustering coefficient of random networks is quite small. So there is not much of clustering here. So can we come up with a formula for average local clustering coefficient of a random network GNP? So average local clustering coefficient means you determine the clustering coefficient for every node in this network, and then you take an average here. How do you figure this out? So let's look at this here. So let's talk about a particular node now. Let's say this is the node U given to me, right? So we have to do this. So I'm currently looking at what will be the expected clustering coefficient for one node, and then what we have to do, we have to do it for all the nodes and take an average. So that becomes our average local clustering coefficient. So for this particular node, what is going to be the expected clustering coefficient of U? So for the timing, let's assume that you have some neighbors. Right now, we don't know what is the degree of U. It can be anything. So let's assume the degree of U is D, right? So you have some D neighbors here. So we are assuming that U has degree D. Okay. Now what is its expected clustering coefficient? So what is clustering coefficient of U? We know this. This is the number of edges between its neighbors divided by total possible number of edges between neighbors. So the total possible number of edges between neighbors is what? I have D neighbors, right? So they can have D choose 2 links between them. And I am looking for the expected value of clustering coefficient of U. So this is going to be expected number of edges between the neighbors divided by, there is nothing like expected value of D choose 2 because it's going to be a constant. So divided by D choose 2. Okay. So what is the expected number of edges between the neighbors? So again the same formula, right? So the total possible number of edges between the neighbors is D choose 2, and each of these D choose 2 edges exist with a probability P, right? So this expected number is going to be P into D choose 2, and this divided by D choose 2. D choose 2 gets cancelled, and I am left with P. So if you look at it, the expected clustering coefficient of a node, it's not impacted by what is the degree of the node. It is independent of the degree of the node, right? So for a given node, it is P. So what is going to be the average over all the nodes? Still going to be P only. So P remains your average clustering coefficient, expected clustering coefficient of a node. And you can actually verify that. So whenever you create a random network with GNP model, so its clustering coefficient will be close to this value, P itself. And whenever we create a random network, the value of P is actually very, very less, right? So we have seen that. We have looked at when I want to create a random network similar to a real world network, we have figured out the values of P. So they were actually less than 0.1, right? So clustering is also going to be less than 0.1 most of the times. There are certain more nice properties of random networks. Let's talk about a few more. So one of the properties which is talked about is, so when do you think a random network becomes connected? What I do is I have placed n nodes on a paper, and now I'm one by one putting an edge. So I have some 5 nodes here, right? I flip a coin and then I put an edge. When I flip a coin, maybe I don't put an edge. Next time I put an edge, put an edge, put an edge. So the question is, how many edges do you think should be there in this network so that it becomes connected? That is, there are no connected components in the network. It's just one big component. So what should be the number of edges? So definitely we know
N
that if the
minus
value,
1.
okay, so n minus 1 holds for a tree, right? For a tree like structure. That is true. So that is, if I am making a network cautiously, so I can make this network connected in a minimum of n minus 1 edges. But here what is happening is we are creating a random network. We do not have control on how we are putting the edges. So we are simply tossing a coin for every edge and then putting it. So this number cannot be as less as n minus 1, but then is this number huge? Or let me put it another way. So what do you think should be the value of P if you want this network to be connected? So definitely at P equals to 0, this network is disconnected, completely disconnected. At the value of P equals to 1, it's a complete network where every node is connected to every other node. So what do you think should be the value of P? What is the minimum value of P at which this network becomes connected? And the answer is that value is very less. I think it is something like log n by n. So let's try to understand how is this happening. So for that, let's first look at that. Let's first look at this. So see, when we initially have this network at P equals to 0, all the nodes are isolated, right? So with the time when we start putting edges, then there are some nodes which still remains isolated, some nodes still doesn't remain isolated. So now let's look at this question. What is the probability that in a GNP network, there is at least one isolated node? And you think how we can start addressing this? Or rather, let me modify the question. Let's look at that. So we are talking about we do not want any isolated node. So what is the probability that in a GNP network, no node is isolated? So again, when we say that no node is isolated, it actually doesn't mean that the network is connected. Network might still be disconnected, but we are asking about a lower level question. So we are asking that at least every node has a degree 1. So no node is isolated. So what is the probability of this happening? So can I say that the probability that no node is isolated is equals to probability that U1 not isolated into probability that U2 not isolated into probability that U3 not isolated, so on and so forth up to probability that UN not isolated. Right? And then can I write it as pi over I probability that UI not isolated. So this is now what we want to compute. So what is the probability that a given node I is not isolated? Okay. So let's look at this. What is this value? So again, it is simply equals to 1 minus probability that UI is isolated. And again, this is simple to quantify, right? So what is the probability that a given node is isolated? This probability is, so I have a node I, there are total n minus 1 nodes it can connect to, but it actually doesn't connect to any of these, it remains isolated. So what is the probability of that happening? You get tails all the n minus 1 times. That is 1 minus p to the power of n minus 1. You can actually place this in the above formula and it becomes pi of I 1 minus and there are total n nodes in my network. So every node is more or less the same. So I can remove this and put an n here, right? So this becomes the probability that you have no isolated node in your network. So with the help of this, you can also compute the expected number of isolated nodes in your network. So again, I'm not going to tell you how. So think about that. So we have discussed it in one of the class. You can use an indicator random variable for that. So if I want to look at in a GNP graph how many expected number of isolated nodes are there. So the number of isolated nodes is what? So I can write it as I1 plus I2 plus I3 up to In, right? Where I equals to 1 if the node Ui is isolated, otherwise not. And then I can club the probability values here and calculate the expected value of this number. Okay, so try to plot this and see what happens. Let me see if I have done that. So what we are doing here is we are trying to see what is the probability value for which you have no isolated node in the network. So what is that minimum probability value, right? So what is the point? What should I, let's say I want to create a random network, but I want no node to be isolated here. So what should be the minimum value of P in order to achieve that? And then you can extend this question asking that, so you can have a few more components here and then think about what should be the minimum value of P. So till now we are talking about such that we have no isolated node here. Then we can pose the question, what should be the minimum value of P such that the graph is connected, that is there are no disconnected components. So these questions are slightly related. Okay, now look at this here, a third code. Right. So what is this term here? So what are we plotting here? So for a given number of nodes, what we are doing is we are slowly increasing the value of probability, right? And I'm only going up to 0.2 here. I'm not going up to all the way 1 because there is something which happens at this much lesser value of probability. And what we are going to see is we are going to see the probability that there is at least one isolated node. So what was this entire thing? This entire thing is the probability that you have no isolated node in the network, and this one becomes the probability that you have at least one isolated node in the network. So now look at this. So this graph looks something like this. See how quickly this falls. So here you have the value of P which goes from 0 to 0.2, and on the y-axis you have the probability that in the network you have at least one node which is isolated. And see, this value becomes 0 at the value of P equals to 0.1. So if you keep the probability value simply equals to 0.1, then the probability that you have at least one isolated node in the network falls to 0 here itself. And what is all the more interesting is, so this was for the value of n equals to 100. This value of P where this curve is falling to 0 will actually reduce when you increase the value of n. So as you keep increasing the value of n, you will get less and less isolated nodes over the same value of your probability. Okay, now think about this question here. We also talk about there is clustering in our network. Let's say I'm using again this random network model to model a classroom, right? So what is the probability that you will end up having a graph in which your classroom is bifurcated in two groups? So that is, let's say n equals to 100, right? And I am putting every edge with the probability of P. So it's a G100 comma P. So in a G100 comma P, what is the probability that you will end up getting two groups 50 students in group 1, 50 students in group 2, such that these two groups do not talk to each other. So no student in G1 talks to no student in G2. Do you think it is highly probable or do you think it's highly improbable? The question is, I have a G100 comma P, right? I do not know what is P here. I create this network and I want to see what is the probability that I have 50 students here connected in some way and 50 students here connected in some other way. 50 students here and 50 students here. What is the probability that there is no edge between these two portions of the classroom? So no student here in G1 is connected to no student in G2. So what is the probability that you will end up getting such a graph? Is it very high? Is it very low? And how do you write a formula for this? So I know I'm a bit fast in this lecture. So what I have done is there is a document you will find again in the sheet which I have shared with you, which explains all these things. So you can slowly go over it there, right, and think about this question. So right now, if you have noted about what all we spoke of, so we spoke of a few formula. So they were, what is the average degree of a node in a random network? What is the probability that you end up getting exactly m edges in a random network? Then what is the probability that a given node has a degree k in a random network? What is average local clustering coefficient, its expected value in a random network? Then we looked at the probabilities of having isolated nodes, and then this question. So this is bit on an advanced level. So I'll just stop here. So if you have noted it down, go through it once, and if you have any doubts, then you can ask me. If you have no doubts, you can leave. So this was what I was planning to cover in that missed session which we had. And in the next class, we'll start from centrality measures where we left off. And these are just a few properties of your random network. So there are more interesting and more mathematically involved properties of these networks, which are researched over time. And again, the one of the most important of them is, so what is that minimum value of P where this giant component exists in your random network? That is, it's connected. There is a path from every node to every other node in this network. If you are able to understand these two parts, that how do you figure out that the probability that a node is not isolated and this part over here, then you can slowly work towards that bigger problem, which I'll see if we'll have some time towards the end of the course. I'll discuss that. Okay, so go through it once. If you feel you have any doubts, you can stay back. Otherwise, we'll just close today's session. And if everything is clear, feel free to leave.